Hi, this is Sally, and welcome to Heart of a Soul. I always want to thank you guys for watching, liking my videos. I hope that you guys are sharing and also subscribing, and it'll let me know that you guys want to hear more, see more, talk about some other things. I always want to jump right into the topic because it's something that was put on my heart, and I just really want to get it out there. And today I'm going to be talking about not being afraid to start over, or at least, again, redefining yourself. A lot of times life brings situations where we realize that, this isn't the life for us. There has to be more to it, right? But a lot of times we're afraid of starting over. What will people think? Maybe we don't have people there to support us, and we have self-doubt, and it's a scary thing, especially because we tend to become so comfortable in our situation, and we think that that's just where we're supposed to be. But and you'll know this because you'll feel it inside, like, this just does not feel right. This is not my life. This is not who I'm supposed to be. Listen to that voice inside of you. And I know I have a lot of self-doubt because it's it was kind of just, fed to me that way. When I was in high school, I remember there was a time when my mom told me that I wasn't going to make it in life because I didn't take school seriously. I was just getting high and wanted to hang out with my friends. And I remember telling this to my best friend, and she didn't believe me because my mom was just like super cool, right? But she told me again, and my friend was there to witness it this time, and she was surprised because, she didn't expect that from my mom. But I mention this because that's where some of this self-doubt got fed to me. And when I got pregnant at 16, I just felt like there was nothing that I was ever going to do to change her mind now, right? Like, I ultimately fucked up. And to a certain extent, I started to believe that, maybe I wasn't going to be anything in life but a statistic, teenage pregnancy. But I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to have that label. And so after I had him, I tried to go back to college, but it was hard. Classes and trying to do homework and studying with the 1-year-old, grabbing my books and grabbing my papers. And so I quit school and was working administration for the next few years. And when I got pregnant with my second son, it was in 2009 during the recession, and I was 3 months pregnant when I lost my job. But I kept having kids. I was pregnant for about 5 years, having 3 babies. But things just kept getting harder and harder and harder to provide for them. And I just knew that there was more to life than my trash relationship and just wake up every day feeling like trash. And I knew I had to change. And I had to take a step back, and I was trying to rebuild it from where I was, but it was more than that. I had to get down in there, pull all that old shit out, and just really start over for myself, and start to rebuild myself. My daughter, when she was about 2 years old, she started pulling her hair out. Like, we were driving down the street one day, and I turned to look back, and she's just like sucking on her finger, just pulling her hair out, like, and it freaked me out. And I pulled over, and she's covered in hair. She has a big old bald spot, and she's just looking at me like, what? And oh, I freaked out. I didn't know what to do. Do I take it to the hospital? I didn't know what to do. And I was thinking about it over the next couple of months, and it was like, I'm doing that to her. My anxiety was so running so rampant in my family that it was taking, my 2-year-old was feeling it. And shortly after that, when I was pregnant with my last child, you guys, I've mentioned before that I had a panic attack while I was pregnant with him, and those two things were just really my wake-up call. I had to do something. I had to change my life and do it fast. My kids, I was putting their life and their well-being in danger, and that just didn't sit right for me. Like, I could fuck myself up all day and night, but when it starts affecting the people around you, you got to take notice and you got to take responsibility for that. But I was so scared of losing myself because I had known this person, my whole life. And what does this other person look like, and what is she doing? And I was so scared, but it was so painful. But I would look down at my kids and in their big beautiful eyes with these bright smiles, and that would break my heart even more, to know that my children deserve better than this. And they would just look at me with not a care in the world and just happy as can be. And I was just so tired and broken and dark inside. And I couldn't let them feel that. I couldn't let them grow up like that. That was my responsibility. If anybody else's, it was my responsibility. They deserved better. And I always tell people that my children saved me. I taught them how to walk and talk and feed themselves and get themselves dressed, but my kids taught me how to live again. And I'm forever grateful for them, and they make me mad, but they're the reason I get up every morning and just keep going and keep trying. And when I'm tired, they come and they take care of me, and they lay down with me, and they take care of each other, and help to feed the younger one, and that really it makes me feel good inside, because that's my reassurance and my confirmation that the choices that I made when I made them were the right ones. And for the first time in my life, I started planning for my future when I decided to start over. I knew it would take time, patience, and a whole lot of hard work. And while I was going to school, I had a part-time job, trying to just get my foot into the door into the industry. So I just copied a bunch of resumes and sent them out to whoever I could find on Google. And a few places were willing to give me a chance, nothing permanent, they told me in the beginning, and that was fine. I was just trying to get some experience, trying to get some exposure to the industry, and but because of that, every couple of months I had to find something else, and the paychecks that I was making, because they were only part-time, it was only enough to cover daycare, and my kid's father, he just wanted me to get a job. He wanted me to contribute to the bills, even though he made more than enough money, but he had habits that he would rather spend his money on. And so it was a constant fight. And when things got really bad, even my mom told me to quit school. So I didn't really have any moral support. I felt like I was the only one that believed in myself and saw this dream. And but I believed in me, and I knew that that's the kind of people that they were. So I wasn't that surprised, but it still hurt, And but my dreams were bigger than that. My dreams were bigger than my current situation, and so to help me out, I wrote down my goals. what I needed to achieve those goals, and a rough estimated timeline, how long I think I could accomplish these goals. And while I was doing it, I could see myself taking care of my kids and going to work, having a career, and that was so much more clear than the life that I was living at that time. So I knew that it was real, and no one else could see it but me. And I started to realize that that wasn't my problem. That, you know, if they couldn't see it, then there was nothing that I could do about it. And for all these reasons, change can be scary. And why people just don't do it. You know, it takes you out of your comfort zone. It makes you realize that you're not perfect. You don't have everything figured out, and it starts to reveal the true character in people, and if they really have the best intentions for you and your family. And sometimes, you know, people say ignorance is bliss, like what you don't know can't hurt you. And some people are not ready to face their fears. But I found empowerment in the strength that I had to persevere and to move past the negativity from the people that were around me. And I allowed myself, you know, some lazy days, but I always picked myself back up. And so it was constantly changing, right? So I every semester I had a new set of classes, a new set of problems at home, and maybe even a new job because the last one ended. And so things were constantly changing. And most importantly, I was changing. And I loved myself for it because I was following my heart. Even if nobody around me understood it, I was happy. I was happy for the first time in my life. And the more things started to unfold for me, the more I started to believe that I was on the right path. Because if it was too hard, or it didn't make sense, or things just weren't happening, maybe it's not your time, or maybe you need to reevaluate, maybe you need to take a step back. And that's okay, because then that's where we figure out where we're really supposed to be, you know. And because sometimes we might have this great grand idea but God has a bigger plan for us. And I was open to that. And it kept me in a place where, you know, not to get comfortable, because things are always changing. And if I want the biggest and the best, then I was going to have to be prepared to stay on my toes and be ready for the next move. And that's something that I learned over the years. And so when things start coming up, I might start to feel a little overwhelmed. And when I get that uneasy feeling, I stop and I appreciate it, because then that's me recognizing I need to change something that I'm doing doesn't feel right, and let me evaluate my situation and I make the necessary changes. And the more things started to unfold for me, the more I believed I was on the right path, and the less scared I was, and the more hope I had for my future. And I started to think, you know, if they could just see me, if my family could just see me, if my partner could just see and see my potential and know what I'm capable of, like everything would be great. But it never happened like that. Eventually my mom came around and she started seeing my potential. She even started to really support me in my dream, because she seen me taking care of my kids when everybody thought I couldn't, and that I was going to struggle, but it was nothing like that. And I think that that's when she started to see my potential and see what I was really capable of. And a few of my closest friends that really believed in me and wanted the best for me and my children. And there was a failed relationship, but that didn't get me down. I lost a couple of jobs, but I always found a new one. And when those things could have really got me down, I turned that anger and frustration and that resentment into fuel. I turned it into my motivation. Like, I'm gonna show them. They're gonna wish that they listened to everything that I said. Eventually, that kind of wore off because I was just so content with my life and where it was going that it didn't even matter how they felt about me. I was happy. My kids were doing so much better. And I started to have a relationship with my mom. We got to understand that we're our own creators of our life. Only we can hear that voice inside of us that's saying, you don't have to do that. You could say no. Or you get that impulse when everybody else is doing something and you're just like, no, I don't want to do that, right? And that's okay. You can say no. You have the right to say no. Don't let your mother, your partner, or anybody you think that has some kind of say-so in your life, don't let them dictate it. Only you could feel what's inside your heart. And don't be afraid to follow it. Don't be afraid to remove those negative people from your circle and start to surround yourself with people that are trying to make something of their lives too, and trying to get somewhere, and that have goals and that have dreams and just positivity where you can encourage them and they can encourage you. And sometimes I get hard on myself, like, fuck, I'm pushing 40, I don't got shit. But I stop and I remember where I came from, and I'm so grateful that I even have the mind and the guts to go for it, and not care what people think, and have a burning desire to follow my dream. And maybe I don't have a house, and maybe I don't have a nice car, but one day I will. And right now what I do got is I'm smart and I got heart, and I'm not afraid to follow it, and I'm not afraid to speak my mind and say what's on my heart. And that's brought me a long way. If you knew me 10 years ago, you wouldn't like me. I had a bad attitude. And I really like who I've become now. And I'm grateful that God gave me the mind to notice and to take control of it. And today my prayer is that you do too. That you find the strength inside to know that it's okay to start over. It's okay to let go of relationships that don't serve you, to quit the job that in your heart isn't really where you want to be, and have a plan before you just walk out the door, unless you're prepared to do so. But I had to have a plan, and it worked out for me. So I encourage you guys to do the same thing too. And because you can't go wrong with listening to your heart. And if you really believe in yourself and you set your intention and you strive for it every day, believe me, it will work out for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this topic. Please like, share, and subscribe. Share with everybody and anybody, and I hope, and please leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. I take constructive criticism, because I'm still learning. So if you guys have anything to say, leave a comment, let me know, and I will see you guys next week.